Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's episode of the Gym Owner Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Stone. Over there's John Fairbanks. How you doing, John?
I'm lovely.
Guys, before we get started, make sure you follow the Gym Owners Podcast, the Gym Owners Podcast on Instagram. Go to the Gym Owners Revolution Facebook group. Link is going to be in the show notes for that. If you want to work with us directly, go to gymownersrevolution.com. Follow me at Tyler F. Stone. That's Tyler EFFI and Stone on Instagram. And John?
And you can follow me on Instagram at jbanksfl.
This week, we're going to talk some shit.
Surprise.
John sent me a message the other day because, John, you're getting your NASM certification renewed, correct?
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's gut wrenching because I went in to look. I realized that I had let the certification lapse, and I went in and looked at my account with NASM, and I have 3 separate times been certified as an NCAA certified personal trainer, and I'm like, fuck me, I get to go do this a 4th time. This a 4th time. It's one of those things where it's when you're doing it and you need it.
Yeah.
And this is going to go into what we're talking about today, but you need to be certain. You need to have the certification. You need to have this paper because of X, Y, or Z. Yeah. And so then I would go get it. But then when you no longer need it, for me, it just was, it's a mistake. Don't do this. Just don't let your shit lapse, because then it costs a whole bunch of fucking money to go get it again. But now
you either got to live on the reservation or all the way off. You're either going to be like me. I'm fully rogue now. I don't know that I'm carrying anything anymore. Call it what you will. Take from that what you want. But in reality, sometimes if you're working out of somebody else's location and things like this, they just have requirements, and there's nothing you can do about it. But what's interesting, so we're going through this, and John, you sent me a screenshot the other day, and this boils my fucking blood here, is that basically what it said was you're allowed to make the only nutrition stuff you're allowed to talk to your clients about as a certified personal trainer is how to cook food, right? You can talk about preparing food is where the line gets drawn, meaning you cannot talk meal plans, you cannot talk macros, you shouldn't be talking specific diets or anything in particular that you think this client in front of you should do. You should not be giving out weight loss advice or plans for weight loss or anything like this. And I just want to make that really clear to you guys, that while that's what they say, and maybe that even exists in some sort of legal precedent with which I cannot imagine, don't fucking take that advice. Absolutely do not, because any good coach who's worth their salt knows there's only one factor that is involved in weight loss, first off, which is nutrition, right? If you're not in a caloric deficit, you will not lose weight. And I feel it's weird saying this to a bunch of gym owners and coaches, right? But let's just get this out of the way. That is the reason that weight comes off the body. That's how this works. Now, we can do many things to get someone into a caloric deficit. One of them is exercising. Mm-hmm. Exercising is a really hard way to burn 400 calories a day. Sure, it's a lot easier to take a few fucking bites less of something or eat something a little bit different than you normally do. And all of a sudden, it is a lot easier to lose weight. You combine those two things together, and then you have a system that kind of feeds itself, and you feel physically better. You burn some negative energy. You're able to get a lot of stuff out. You're able to still burn calories, eat better, feel better. You're constantly recommitting. People that just start with nutrition, sometimes they don't have this physical, full reinvigoration like you get from a good hard workout, that sense of full physical accomplishment. Yeah. So I believe that both things at once are, that's the optimal thing. We should exercise. We should move. We should eat. If you're trying to lose weight, you should eat for weight loss. Now, it is expressly prohibited in their shit to be talking about this at all. And I think the question that I would pose to you guys out there is, why the fuck aren't you? If you're a personal trainer, someone comes to you and says, I want to lose 20 pounds, 50 pounds. I get people coming who want to lose 100 pounds realistically. Now, timeline is not necessarily the issue. It's just they have 100 pounds to lose. What are you going to tell them? Are you literally going to take their money? And are you going to bring them in and you're going to work with them in the gym, and you're going to not give them any nutrition advice or plan or tell them what to do with their food? You're going to let them go to Google?
Because that's what's going to happen. Because that's what's going to happen. Yeah. And that was what really boiled enough to where I took a screenshot of the question I was going through. that it was this idea where there's no common sense that's dialed into this whatsoever. It's like, oh, well, you can talk to people generally, like give general nutritional information, but it's outside of the scope of what it means to be a personal trainer to give any type of macro or any type of calorie goal or discuss any specific diets with clients.
Yeah.
Do we all like it's we all can honestly look at each other and say, how fucking unrealistic is that? And could you imagine if you had somebody that act like, let's say you didn't sell nutrition, you didn't offer that at all, and you are a one trick pony where all of your value is per session. And we have lots of episodes of where that the danger lies, where you allow yourself to be that comparable to anyone else, which is just how much do I charge per session? How many sessions does somebody want to sign up for? And then that's it.
Yeah.
And there's a huge fundamental problem. But let's say that's all you're doing right now. Once someone actually gets the gumption to come to you because you've built the trust, they hear you, you've put in the time with them, they trust you to now come to you and want to have a conversation about nutrition, about what they're eating. Specifically, do you have any recommendations of what I should do? What do you think about this diet? What do you think about this? The idea that you would be like, oh, I'm actually not allowed to talk to you about that.
How insane.
Like it would be a crazy response. But I'm going to tell you, Tyler, we've worked with gym owners now for so many years, and this is why we wanted to talk about it. Where was we have absolutely heard from gym owners, which is like, well, I got to have somebody else that's involved for nutrition because I don't have I don't have the necessary like certifications to be able to have these discussions.
Now that leads me to two questions, right? Is do you really not know what a person should be eating to lose the weight? Okay, that's one. If you don't, by the way, that's fine. Then take their certification and learn it, I guess. But I think even then, those same people are going to go, shit. Well, then actually, I should be a registered dietitian or a registered nutritionist, like an actual nutritionist and shit. It's like, so this is where there's always this line when you're like, well, and by the way, all those lines exist. That is about a shield for liability,
Mhm.
and it's total bullshit. Because the fact of the matter, if you're a gym owner, if you're coaching or a personal trainer, and you don't know how somebody should eat to lose weight, you fucking suck, dude. I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? Then you better go like the dorky movement specialist route where you can come up with a bunch of clever, novel exercises and have stupid shit that's all about things that people aren't, the general population isn't going, God, I should go to a guy with abs who talks about fucking God knows what to fix my shoulder or my knee or my back thing instead of a real medical professional, right? But those people, you're doing the same thing when you're doing that, right? You're just posing, like literally, like disguising medical advice, essentially, right? And saying that you're able to do things that you definitely shouldn't. And that's definitely probably can get you in some trouble legally versus being the person that can say, I can help people lose 20 pounds. I can help you get in shape. I'm here to take you from A to B to C to D here. Excuse me. But there is to have blinders on about the nutrition thing. And for you, it's one thing, it's whatever. They're paying you, I guess, if that's the way you want to play this game. But you're allowing your clients who are coming in good faith, telling you, right? They're telling you, I want weight, I got to lose weight. What can you do to help? Perfect. This is what we'll do. This thing in the gym for 1 hour a day, 3 or 4 days a week, that if you don't fucking eat less is not going to help. It will not get you there. And this is a principle that I learned in the heating and air conditioning business, right? There's a thing that's happened. We've gone to court over this before.
Yeah.
So we had a judge tell us this, and I've told the story before. I'm going to tell it again still. A lot of new listeners out there. Someone comes in and they want to have a system, and we say, well, we're kind of on this edge of the sides, right? With equipment, you either got to go up or down, right? Up here. And it's like, well, we think we need to go up. That means we got to drill more wells for geothermal. Everything's going to be a little bigger, but I think this is what it's going to take to get you the right capacity to work for this house. And they said, yeah, but if it's close, can we just go down? It'll save me $3,000-4,000. We said, no, we really shouldn't do that. It's going to be an issue. This already is expensive. This little bit of money. You try to advise them out of it. We try to advise them. Do everything we can do. Based on our expertise, we think you should do otherwise. And what does the client say? They say, no, just have me sign a waiver that says, I acknowledge that this is the thing, and we'll go ahead and go forward. Perfect. Guys, sign the waivers. They sign the thing. 3 years, bunches of problems. System's supposed to be running on super high efficiency because it's geothermal. It doesn't. It just doesn't because it doesn't have the actual capacity. It's running on backup heat, costing them an extra thousands of dollars a year in utility bills. This thing ends up in court because the equipment starts to fail because it's been overworked too. And now they think it's warranty. We've done everything we could to honor what the judge says to us at the end of all of this. And we are a very well documented company. We were not a fly by night organization by any means. Every time a technician was there to work, even for the day, we'd have to write nearly an entire page of notes about what we did with specificity and any communications that was done with the client. This is how we do everything every time. So we're going there with just books of shit thinking we're going to dunk on them. The judge says, yeah, this is all great, except you're the fucking expert here. Like, you're the one who's supposed to know. So you cannot, you're ruining your own reputation by letting some idiot who knows nothing allow you to come in and do your job wrong, bully you into it. And that's it. But the truth is, it doesn't matter. You're the one that knew better, not them. And you did it. You took the money. You did this. You are essentially fucking a crook here. And we fucking ate our hats on this one, dude. It was bad. It was a bad deal. And the problem is nobody got started that thing with any ill intention. And that's what the way this works with nutrition stuff too.
Yep.
No, you're not taking on personal training clients and avoiding the nutrition subject because you're trying to screw them over, because you're trying to keep them fat, or you're trying to set them up to fail. You're avoiding it because you've just been told this by the people you think hold the key to like your fucking right to work or something, and none of that is real. And did any of you guys fucking rebel when you were young? Did any of you guys put middle fingers up to fucking people who told you what to do? Like, is there no rebellious people ever? I asked this question when all the COVID stuff came out, and they're like, everybody stay in your house and wear masks. And oh, now you have to get vaccinated and you have to do this or else you're going to get fired. And I'm like, was anybody rebellious growing? Is anyone like, no, I'm just not going to do this because you told me what to do? Like, you don't have the right to do this. Fuck you. You've crossed the line. And for me as a coach and a personal trainer, a person I care about who's paying me money is telling me, I want to lose some weight. I don't know what to do. I want you to help. Perfect, man. I can help you in the gym, but you're going to have to fix the way you eat. Here's what I think you should do to start and how that process goes. It's not me being married to one plan or anything. We talked about this in recent episodes as well. This is, what is your first step? What should your second step be? This isn't like I'm not writing him a prescription that's going to fucking kill him. And if he has anything that goes off the fucking radar or whatever, like, I don't know, go to a doctor then or whatever. Like,
right.
Start feeling dizzy. I don't know, do something different. But this is absolute cowardice, I think. Just like everybody who was coming to me, John, I'm going to derail this into some shit here. I would have people when that first stuff about the COVID vaccine was coming out, where they were saying that that any company with over 100 employees is going to have to, everyone's going to have to get vaccinated or else you're going to get fired.
Right.
What did I say from the very beginning? Call their bluff. Make them enforce it. And I'm telling you to do the same thing here. If you really think this is something, I am willing to bet, though, that you're not going to end up in the situation like, because this is the inverse, right? This is the inverse of the heating and air conditioning company situation, right? There we knew what was right and we let them talk us into doing something wrong, right?
Yep.
Here you know what's right and you're just going to do something wrong. You're literally going to do the opposite thing here because what Daddy Nazem says it? Or what really is the enforcement here for this? Like, where does this really lie? I encourage you, like all things involving copyright infringement and things like this, you'll get a cease and desist before you fucking are in trouble for anything. So you'll always get the opportunity to stop. But if you're not actually coaching people on nutrition, you're a fucking coward. If they're coming to you and you're failing them, you're just truly, truly failing them. And what happened, John, to all these people that would come up to me and say, yeah, I got to find another job. I don't want to get vaccinated. They're telling me I don't want to get vaccinated. I say, well, then don't. Well, I have to, or else I'm going to get fired. My wife worked for Pepsi during that time. Fuck Pepsi. We're on team fuck Pepsi here for all the things they did during that. But during that same time, Pepsi was sending these threats out to all their employees. Like, yeah, the government said this. You all have to be vaccinated by this date or you're going to be fired. My wife was like, yeah, I bet I'm not. I bet I don't. Bet I don't. We're gonna go to that line, make them wrongfully fire you, so then you could sue them if that's what you want to do. But make them enforce it. Don't do anything you don't really think is right. Definitely don't do something you think is wrong until someone's actually willing to enforce that on you. And that's the reality of this thing here, is that once that COVID stuff happened, what happened in the end? They went, oh, turns out we don't actually have the right to force you to do that. And guess what? Of the 20 some employees at this office here that my wife worked at, all of them went and got vaccinated under the threat of just one email. Someone wrote an email. There was one press release. Nothing was enforced. There was nothing. And all these cowards went and did something they knew was wrong and didn't want to do. I don't want to get guys coming to me saying, I'm going to have to go get another job because I'm not going to do it. I said, I wouldn't be bouncing around. See what they do. I'd make them fire you first, because that at least now puts the ball in their court. And guys, if you went and got jabbed over that, you're a pussy, right? If you didn't want to do it and they made you do it because of that, and you just jumped in before they were even making enforcement threats, you're a pussy, dude. That was some bullshit on your part. If you're not coaching people in nutrition because you read in some silly arbitrary course that you're supposed to take, that you're not allowed to, fuck you, dude. You're just looking your clients in the eye while they fail and struggle to have success. Or you got to push them even harder in the gym. You just got to kill them harder. Or they can be delusional about what really is going on nutritionally, what they really need to do. Some people are so upside down in the reality of how much they're eating and what it is, that like somebody does need to go in there with a fine-tooth comb and be like, yo, this is why. There's clients I have worked with who there's no amount of work in the gym that we could possibly do that would get them to lose weight, because they're on a fucking fast track to fatland, dude. Like, you have to be out in front of this stuff and you have to have real conversations with them about it. And avoiding it, in my opinion, you got to ask these questions. Is avoiding that civilly? Are you liable for stealing their money? If someone comes to you for weight loss and you take $2, $3, $4, $5, $10,000 over the course of a year for personal training, and you know that the one thing that literally the one factor that needs to be changed for someone to lose weight, you're not purposefully and what's the word, intentionally,
Yeah.
not addressing it. It's a
Well, that's
criminal. It's negligent. It's negligent. It's certainly unethical.
Exactly. Because in this scenario, going back to your HVAC example, it's we're the expert. You're the expert.
Yeah.
So somebody's coming to you, you're the expert.
Don't do it. Yeah.
And the problem, and this is the bigger issue, is that you are allowing a third party. You are hiding behind a third party that is saying, no, you're not allowed to tell somebody that 6 ounces of meat is the equivalent of the palm of their hand. No. You can't tell them that.
What if
You
you're
can't.
not the expert, John? Then you fucking should find a way to be one. Then go
I mean,
then go learn the thing. What I'm saying is, like, if you can't learn to help people lose weight, or frankly, even build muscle, whatever they're in the gym for, nutrition needs to be lined up. If I'm trying to build muscle, get stronger, there needs to be a caloric surplus at maybe, or at least adequate protein intake. What if they're starting to fizzle out in workouts? Workouts are really hard. Well, carbs maybe need to come up. Maybe low carbs better for this person. You need to find your way around some nutritional processes with your clients, with the experience that you have, and you're never going to get it burying your head in the sand. So if you truly feel like, I can't help somebody with their nutrition to lose 20 pounds, I'm not capable of doing that.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing in this business?
Right.
That's the question I would ask.
Because you can go get certified, right?
Yeah.
If you want to be able to still play that game and you are not confident in your own abilities, then you have to stop allowing an arbitrary barrier to keep you from actually doing the one thing that's going to help people. But this goes back to what you talked about in the very beginning, which is, the problem is, and we talk about this when it comes to supplements. We talk about this when it comes to a lot of things. It's, if you are not going to help someone, they are going to Google it.
Yep.
They are going to go to Google. And the problem is, and this is where for us, where the idea where it's, you have to call bullshit at some point, which is the fact that somebody can Google and now get all of the macro advice, all of the cooking advice, all of the food preparation, because that is what's being told to you, that you're not allowed to have these conversations because you don't have the certification that is outside of your scope.
Do you know who's given more nutritional advice via their platform than probably all nutritionists, dietitians, personal trainers in all of human history. Oprah. And Oprah's been up and down, fat and skinny,
Yeah,
multiple different times, over and over and over again, lives in an absolutely entirely different life than any of you guys do. And that person's out there just throwing out any number of things over the last 20 years, and it's a-okay. More women have turned to Oprah for weight loss advice than are ever going to turn to fucking you.
or
And if
Dr.
you think
Oz.
you're not more qualified than a person who's probably still 70 pounds overweight if it wasn't for the pharmaceutical interventions, the fact that someone cooks for her, like, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy for her to be giving medical advice with no practical experience on her own, let alone actually coaching people. It's just passing through her platform. And that is frankly the way it works now, is through whatever platforms are being used, whether it is a general social media platform or somebody's specifics brand on some of those platforms. That's where people are learning how to eat.
And
And
how
if
many?
it's not those things, you know what it is? Where people are learning how to eat, it's not good, because then it's just advertising.
Yeah.
They have that stuff, nutrition talk that's happening on these other platforms, goes viral, whatever. It's only meant for content and views. Maybe some people hearts are in it, but the others is just marketing. And at that point, you have people teaching me how to make this and how to make that, or how much to eat, or how to do fasting, or maybe how to try keto, or what it's like to go super low carb, or maybe what a high carb bodybuilding style diet is like, what it's like to try really high. All those factors are out there. And then I got ads for McDonald's on the same place. This is not, they're not different. This is all the same thing. It's just, here's how you should eat. Here's how you should eat. You're hungry? Let's talk about this. You're hungry? Let's talk about this. And that is where I start to get to the point where, if we're not allowed to do it, who is? First off, who is? And I've heard people say this, even I think in some cities and states, where they're like, well, I mean, I think in order for us to be using terms like, what is it, like custom, I don't even remember the terms, like nutrition plan. I can't be making nutrition plans for people. I was like, oh,
Yep.
okay, how about you have a conversation with them about the food that they're eating then? I don't fucking know. Use the right terminology, and I promise you, the fucking liability cops are not coming for you for this.
Because
Make them once. Just make them once. Please make them once.
well, and they're not.
They're just
They
not.
haven't.
By the way,
Oprah
do you know how many
didn't
times
give
I've heard, do you know how many times I've heard of anybody actually getting dinged for this? It's literally zero. Literally zero.
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 It-
None.
and that's why everyone continues to talk about it. So this is you asked who is,
Yeah.
and I would challenge of who will,
Yeah.
because that's the reality. Who will then, if the people that are the right people that are building trust and doing all the right things and have all the right intentions, that do not have a massive lobby to deceive the American public on the food pyramid is the right answer. You don't allow the fucking government to tell us who can and cannot. Like, it's like, for me, it is who has a terrible track record. And if you do not allow the people that are pure of heart and have those right intentions, your intentions and the attitude that you have and the right spirit about you is literally what's keeping you from fighting against the bullshit that's out there, because everyone else will have those conversations. And Oprah is not getting a cease and desist from the fucking Academy of Nutritionists.
No. And
Like,
you
it's not
know,
a thing.
and so what you're doing instead, what we did, I grew up the people responsible for the fucking war in Iraq were the people telling me how I should eat growing up. What the fuck? These are known liars. What are we doing? It's crazy. So you cannot farm this. What I'm saying is, don't delegate this.
Right.
Don't delegate this. If your clients are coming to you for weight loss, you better be fucking real about it then. Right? You got to go, hey, if you don't change the way you eat, this is one way I approach it, because I try not to force people to buy a nutrition product from me. I always am about choice. But I will say, if you're here for weight loss, you must be following a nutrition plan. You just tell me what it is, and I'll work with you about it. You come up with it, whatever this is, or I can sell you one. But I will not work with you for weight loss unless you make a pledge to change the way you eat. That's where, because now, by the way, you'll get people that are unwilling to change the way that they eat at all, who then come to you and they think that personal training is the way that they're going to lose weight. And that unwillingness to change the way they eat already means that they're not going to be successful in this weight loss endeavor. It is an absolute waste of everybody's time and their money, which is just like us then taking the money from the guy who wants us to put in the wrong equipment in his fucking house because it's cheaper. We're like, okay. But no, I refuse to do that. I say, hey, you don't got to buy it from me, but it's got to be right. The only way this thing works, the only way at the end of this that we're happy, that you're happy, that I'm happy, is if you have changed the way you eat. That's the fundamental thing. Unwillingness to change it is already fucked. If they're willing to change, then we embark on a trial and error process. That's all it really is. Every person's diet is a trial, every person's lifetime diet is a trial and error process. I've gradually moved into to the point where I've talked about this before, but I'll do like 24-hour fast, probably like 3 days a week, just because it's easy. It's essentially one meal a day, just at the same time. So I'll do that 3, maybe 4 days a week, and the other two, if I'm hungry or tired or whatever, if I know now I know the difference between hunger and boredom, then I'll go, okay, well then I'm gonna have a protein shake this morning, and I'm feeling like I need it or whatever. I have good data, clear signals, all this stuff, and being at the point where now I've done fasting. I've done 15 cups of fucking rice a day. I've eaten 4 or 5 pounds of red meat a day before. I've done all the craziest things that you could possibly do nutritionally. I've done it all. This week was the first time I did a 48-hour fast. I'm going to do another one next week. And then the next week, I'm going to try a 72-hour. Why? Because it's fucking something to try.
Right.
And so you need to get people who are willing to change first. If they're not willing to change the way they eat, they're going to eat. They may not fail like forever, but they will fail until they're willing to change the way they eat. Or if they are successful, it will be in spite of their diet or in the face of to be thrown in the face of their poor diet. And at that point, if anything happens and their training volume has to go down, like an injury, a little vacation, disruption at work, schedule changes, kids get busy, things happen, they don't then have the tools to actually be successful for the long run. So you're fucking them over completely. So once someone's willing to change the way they eat, now that door opens. That door opens to any number of possibilities because we'll try this. And as long as you actually do that thing, the next step along the way is, oh, we'll try the different thing then. Oh, you didn't like this part about it? Let's change that. Changing the way you eat is how we fix this. It's not about the plan. And I think that's why they always push towards dietitians, nutritionists, this medical apparatus as being the people that are allowed to do this, or you had to go through our university system. And like, I think that the reason that that's the case is that they want it all to align with this like fundamental science. Well, this is what happens when someone goes with a high glycemic and blah, 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 blah. And you're like, well, none of that fucking matters. I need to convince that person that they can't eat the way that they're already eating. It doesn't matter what the most flawless, like most dialed in precise science is on the other end of this. If I can't move him one step away from the things he's currently doing, then it doesn't fucking matter. And I'm certain that in their education systems and things like this, that these people are taught that we do have to get them willing to change and that it is about what the person will do. But what I see, these dorks coming out of college trying to give this advice out on the internet, all I see is science. Science, science, science. The science says this. Well, more carbs means this, and this study and this. And none of it is like, this person I know, here's how I helped. And that's the question I want to ask. Like, where are the dietitians? Where are the nutritionists? Who the fuck are they? Where are they and what are they doing? Like, I'm not seeing them. I'm not around here. There's a lot of obese people, and I am not seeing our dietitianists and nutritionists around here getting all riled up about getting people off the street to come in. Or you want to lose weight? This is what I do. You know why? Because it's not what they fucking do. They work out of a hospital or another thing. And when somebody has to, that's the person who's going to come in and they're going to say, okay, well, you're not allowed to eat for 48 hours. You're going to have this. And then after your gallbladder surgery, these are the few things you need to watch out for. But it's all pathology based.
Yep.
This is the equivalent to someone coming and splitting up your leg and putting a cast on or putting in stitches. It's that type of nutrition. It's like, here is a problem that we're dealing with and all this other shit. And then they come in and work on this. I don't see success stories. I don't see them talking about this. I don't see them trying to sell. I do not see them trying to market to people on the street, which means they're not doing it and they don't care to fucking do it. And that's the reality of it. And like, none of these professionals are helping normal people lose weight.
No.
It's just this whole thing with these dietitians and nutritionists. Unless I'm missing, where are these success stories? And I'm not saying they're incapable of doing it. I'm just saying that doesn't represent a very large amount of the work that they do. And
And
most of what it is they deal in pathology if you're working out of the medical apparatus, and you deal in liability avoidance. You're just avoiding liability.
and at some point that bureaucratic red tape, right? Like it's the how far we've allowed our heads to go up our asses when it comes to science and double blind studies, and where's the science, where's the research, those types of things. It completely negates the obvious anecdotal evidence that we see. And the problem is I'm not anti wanting to be able to have stuff be studied and researched and be able to feel confident that we've tested it out and we've done all these different things. I'm not anti that fundamentally. But the reality is that we've had too many instances over the last, what, Tyler, 25 years, 30 years, where the folks that are calling bullshit, which is like anecdotally, we're not seeing this here, or you all are telling us X, but we are seeing Y. And if you don't have a healthy amount of skepticism from the people that are coming out with the science, again, go back to the food pyramid that was scientifically based.
Yeah.
That was backed. But all of a sudden, 20 years later, we learn, where did the research come from? It was
the macaroni and cheese people. Fuck. We're letting
right.
How are these people involved in science at all? What are we talking about? It ain't even cheese. It's the fucking craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. It's
And that's where, again, farmers, right? Like like to look at margarine, right? Look at like how milk gets demonized or butter gets demonized. And then we have to have these frankenfoods and GMOs or all these different things that come about. And it's interesting because when you see regular people who didn't go to school, they're not certified, they don't have any of the scientific background, but you have these folks that just like, common sense says that this stuff that seems to be like derived from plastic and seems fake and is coming from all the soybeans, like this all seems like it might be bad for us. And I might just stick to the raw milk, and I might just stick to the butter that we make here on the farm, and I might just stick to the meat that we have. And I think we'll just be okay. Like we're not going to play any of that game. And meanwhile, science comes out and just be like, oh, well, you guys are going to die of heart disease, or you're going to have this, or you're going to have that. And it ends up being where it's like, oh, they're all fucking fake and they're all bought and paid for.
And it's like, and even if I don't, and the problem now, it's not even that all of the research in this stuff is fucked. It's just, there's just so much of it now. It doesn't matter. None of it matters. There's plenty of things that'll work. There's plenty of things that'll get you there. And there's plenty of factors involved in it, but it's not all complicated in a life or death way. This isn't me being an amateur pharmacist, right? I'm not telling people to go out and take drugs or mix these chemicals together, or at least not on this podcast. But I think that there is I think that that's the thing I think people need to understand is there's not anything that serious that happens if I tell somebody that they probably should find a way to save themselves 300 or 400 calories a day. We got to get that down, and we want to see how this goes. Like where does this end? I'm not writing them the wrong prescription. It's going to kill them. And by the way, if they do, then let's have this conversation. If you're so bad as a nutritionist that if someone does the things they tell you, they're going to die, the fuck are you telling them to do? Because most of what I'm doing is stop with the processed food, stop with that bullshit. Eliminate 80% of the bad shit that you eat. Get quantities dialed in. Eat all the bad shit you want to eat for all I care. Just get the quantities dialed in so that your body weight comes down. This is pretty simple. If that kills you, we're not rushing. Is it the pace? And I will tell you this. Let me play my own devil's advocate here, John. Because there are some dumb motherfuckers that'll do a lot of shit. I've seen there were some personal trainers around this spot that I don't think they coach anymore around this place, but they were known for, they used to call it I was going to say the name, but it blends into it. It was like a 30-day thing. That was like his thing. It was like they put this thing up 30 days before and after. It's impressive. It was impressive. None of those people kept that weight off because he was telling them, and he's told people, I think even the last couple of years, what you're going to eat every day if you got weight to lose is a salad. It's like one salad and one apple a day. It's like true starvation. Now, granted, here I am trying fasting, but trying it is very different than recommending 3 days of not eating to people. But this guy, you'd see people losing 30,
Mhm.
40 pounds in a month. And then like fucking if they keep that up, it's even better. And then metabolically, they're just fucked because the problem is he told them just do this thing and he didn't take them through a process. So the question is that on him? I'd be willing to bet that that guy is absolutely is probably NASM certified too, though. That's what's even funnier.
What well,
But
also, to assume that just because somebody has, say, you do get your nutrition certification. Let's say you do go to school
yeah,
and you are a nutritionist and that's what you got your degree in. It doesn't change the fact that you're still a fucking moron.
well, even to take this further, Sanford here, Sanford Hospital. I'll go at this multi-billion-dollar organization again. I've done it on multiple shows. They had what's called Sanford Profile, which is essentially medical weight loss, but they were marketing it at regular people for just losing weight.
Mhm.
And it turns into this silly little like Herbalife scheme where it's like, okay, so what you're allowed to eat is like a 4-ounce serving of chicken once a day, a salad, and then our protein shakes.
Yep.
Literally our branded protein shakes you had to buy. It's like, well, this starts to really smell like fucking Advocare or Herbalife or some fucking isogenics bullshit. Like this starts to smell like a pyramid scheme because now the only way to lose weight is to have your product. To starve myself and have half my calories at least come from things I'm buying from you. I
Mhm.
feel like you're just getting in the way of the grocery store's racket. And not only that, I worked with a client who was there and she had left there or was still doing that before she joined my gym. And she, at that point, she had lost maybe like 15 or 20 pounds and was feeling like she was happy the weight was off, but she was struggling. And at that point, she said, yep. So they moved me up. I'm allowed to have another small serving of chicken a day. And she said, that'll get me up to over 900 calories. She said before that, she was like 700 or 800 calories a day. What the fuck are you doing?
Oh my God.
And by the way, this is coming from the system that has the most medical trust in this area,
Right.
the biggest fucking medical bullshit in the goddamn town, and they're out telling people starve yourself, buy our protein shakes. Well, if that's what's coming out of the highly certified, most liability protected enterprise in this area, then y'all out there do whatever the fuck you want because fuck those people. They're screwing people over, and they very likely may end up killing people. And that's why I went out with that because that same operation in Sioux Falls, the same thing was happening at their own performance center where their people would go and work out. They had to say anyone who was on profile, their diet thing, is not allowed to work out at their thing. Because if you do any exercise, there's people collapsing. They're having to call
Oh, well, shit.
ambulances
Yeah.
to their own place because it's like we're starving people and they can't even walk on a fucking treadmill. Now I get it. If you're 600 pounds, and this is if you're 600 pounds and you need to lose 300 pounds in order to stay alive and stuff, you actually don't need to eat anything. If you're 600 pounds, exercise is probably off the table for you for a little while, anyways, till the weight comes off. So you theoretically could eat nothing but vitamins and whatever until you're at a healthy weight and can move around. But that doesn't work for someone that's got 100 pounds to lose, 80 pounds to lose, 50 pounds to lose. All you're teaching them is a way to like break their bodies and metabolically fuck themselves. And that's the best thing. That's what systemized nutrition is. Systemized nutrition that's just here is the way that you must eat. We've put a person with a college degree and we put a clipboard in their hand. On this checklist are the things that they're going to walk you through. It is one thing, and a doctor goes by, doesn't look at it, signs and moves on, but now it's PhD certified. So if that's as far as my opinion, the most legitimate, legally safe, right?
Mhm.
Nutrition coaching that's going on in my area. So if that's what's going on out there and you're worried about competing with that and that's going to come after you, fuck off, dude. Like, don't be a coward. Just don't be a coward. You got to rebel. Don't be a fucking dork. Like to tell a person who's trying to lose weight that like, yeah, I'm not actually in a position to be able to like talk to you about like how to do that. That's fucking lame. That sucks. That person, you're not my friend if that's your vibe. And even worse, if that person comes to you and they say, I want to lose weight, say, perfect, we'll do it all in the gym. You suck a
Yeah.
lot because now you're lying. Like you're lying in both cases, but at least one of them you're just being a coward. The other one you're being a fucking absolute unethical, negligent liar. And you don't belong in this business. I'd take someone trying and throwing some stupid shit out there over someone who's just snowing people. Just like, yeah, we'll take your money. Yeah, sure, weight will come off. We'll just do it in the gym. Yeah, fuck yeah. Gym burns tons of calories. Muscle burns more than fat or whatever they say. Like none of that stuff is a real fucking plan for anybody. None of it's going to work forever. And it sucks, man. Be better.
And be realistic of who your people are. Like in your communities, like the odds are you're going to have folks' best interest. Again, this is assuming that you're a decent human. So if you're a decent human and you actually are in the business to want to actually be able to help people, you know what your people that are in your communities, you know what's real for them.
Mhm.
The odds are they don't need to be weighing their food, counting macros. It's the odds are they need to stop drinking regular soda. They need to stop drinking high octane Mountain Dew with every meal or drinking a case of that, or they need to switch to light beer, or they need to be like, there's so many like fundamental pieces that would literally change people's lives and change how they feel. Like I'm talking working with a guy now, and I got, I get to interact with him and his son. And the guy's like, well, I'm being really, really strict. I'm like, don't do that. Like, just stick to the plan
Yeah.
that we have for you. You don't need to be you don't need to be super strict. You don't need to be doing these things. It's like these little steps is going to be enough based off of he's like, yeah, it's just cutting out the sweet tea because we're here in the South, right? Which is
Oh,
just
good.
sugar with tea flavor. And so it's I cut out the sweet tea and the sodas. And I said, well, you can drink like Coke Zero, drink Diet Pop or whatever. And he's like, no, 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 that stuff tastes disgusting. Like I'm a regular soda can. I'm like, holy shit. I'm
Give
like,
yourself
okay.
huh?
I'm like,
Good
that's enough. I'm like, if you
good for
stop
you.
drinking sweet tea and soda, and the son goes, he goes, when he is doing the right things, he's so much happier. And that's what, and then he's like, well, yeah, that's why I'm gonna be really strict about it. I'm like, no, 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 eat all the normal food. Because I can't have you be a miserable cuss
Oh,
around your whole fucking family. And now they hate it when you're wanting to lose weight. And the son's just like, no. He's
yeah.
like, he's better.
That's my wife, she did like the whole 30 diet thing for
Yeah.
30 days, right? And I called it the no fun diet. Now, there's a lot of things I think that are in that as far as like food sensitivities, and I think it's more about that than weight loss
Yeah.
for sure.
Elimination.
But she's always been of the thing that if she eats, the cleaner that she eats, the better chance she has of being able to be satisfied and full and have good energy for training and stuff like that, while being able to lose weight. Right? That's kind of the space she's in because if you're eating dirty, like you don't get to feel full at night and go to sleep full because like you're gonna and maintain the right caloric balance to where you're not going to get fat or gain weight or at least will align with the weight loss goals you have.
Yeah.
Um, but it was 30 days of like, well, honey, it's Friday. You want to go down, get a drink or two? I mean, she's good for one, maybe two drinks on a night out anyway. So what are we talking about here? Right. And it's like, no, I can't. I'm like, what is this? What is this? I'm having to cook. I gotta do all the cooking in our house. I gotta cook different things.
Yep.
That's a whole nother bunch of shit where it's like, well, I guess you're just gonna eat meat on plate because the other stuff, I don't know. I just wasn't prepared for you to be doing that. And in the end, I think she did like it for a lot of reasons. But like, it's like that's too strict. And the more strict you are, like now that becomes an unsustainable system. You're running too fast. You're
Right.
just running too fast. And but I think that's why, as a fitness professional. I'm not a nutrition professional. I'm a fitness professional, right? And
Right.
what that fitness is is a component of who you are as a whole. Your body, your mental health, your ability to exercise, your work capacity, the muscle you carry, the fat you carry, how you process food, your habits, like all of those things generate fitness is an ecosystem.
Yeah.
A lot of things. And you cannot just fucking ignore one part of it. You just can't. You absolutely cannot. And I think that as a fitness professional, it's on you to try bunches of things. If you have a spouse, y'all should be trying different stuff. That's twice the data you can get. If you have a family, you just try different things. And it's not about the system. It's not about the numbers. It's not about the macros. It's about watching the human being in front of you react. How do they react? How do they respond? How do they bounce back out of it? And you can get a lot of experience out of that, or you can read about it in a book. And then you can try to shoehorn, like, no offense to the whole 30. I think it's probably great. I have no idea. I will not. I'm saying like you should try things. I ain't trying this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to eat the principles that they describe, which is
Yep.
like as little of that stuff as possible within reason. You will pry the ketchup from my cold, dead fucking hands, and I will not be eating what's the other ketchup? Hunt's ketchup. I will not be eating the sugar-free ketchup. We're eating the regular ass ketchup, and that's not sorry. I will
Mhm.
have couple drinks a couple times a week. That's how it's going to work. And that's my ecosystem. And I will get the results that that system gives me until I'm willing to change it. But I'm not going to be preaching whole 30 to somebody who's new because it's like I've watched my wife, who is one of the most nutritionally disciplined people I've ever known, who can do about anything you tell her to do food wise, right? She'll do it. She may not like it, but she will adhere to it. And I watched her have these moments like, fucking God, fucking damn it. You know what I mean? Where it's just frustrating.
Right.
And some of it can be good, but it's all very limited. You watch somebody with no nutritional discipline and you make them go to a level 100 discipline required diet, not a fucking chance, man. Not a fucking chance. So, again, finding people who are willing to change and guiding them through the concept of nutritional change, that's the starting point. Where they go from there, that's their whole lives. That should be everyone's life. Everyone's life should be bouncing around in that capacity, in that space, finding new foods, new things to eat, trying new recipes, finding healthier ways to eat the things that you like. Every once in a while, having the things you like the way that you like them. Because, God damn it, what else are we on this earth to do? But you can't have everything all the time, lest you'll look, you are what you eat. You're going to look like what your ecosystem is, right? So if you're having too many exceptions to the rule, if you're having way too many cheat meals, if you're drinking too much, if you're falling off on your exercise, that balances all out of whack, you will look the part. You will get the outcomes that you deserve. You always, always, always will. And people don't understand that. It's not about the plan. It's not about the diet. It's about the whole thing. And so that's my fucking preachy shit. But for those of you out there, rebel. All right. If you think it's not your place, because you don't know, then it's on you to know. Or you need to start telling people, nah, I'm just a fucking exercise coach. I'll come in and exercise you. And you can basically go do body pump at the fucking YMCA then and get your $12 an hour. Cause fuck you if you think you're really helping people. Right. And not in regards to that, losing weight. If you think you're going to help people lose weight, exercise is not the solution. Training is one aspect, but nutrition has to be the thing. The caloric balance is the thing. How can I trick people into eating the right things in the right quantities?
And have a healthy amount of skepticism. Like, because it's gonna grow, it's gonna get worse.
Oh yeah.
Like, the fact is, like, right now, the most common thing that I'm seeing in, like, on my social media feed from professionals, not stuff that, like, the algorithm is feeding, but, like, people that I follow, gyms or coaches, personal trainers, it's everybody wants to have a debate on the number one thing right now related to fitness, which is gonna be the shot, like
Oh,
Ozempic or whatever else, right? Like, everyone's talking about it. What is the shot? What does it do? Oh, what do you think? Is it part of your plan? Is it not part of your plan? And it's one of these things where it is, if you're being too militant about anything, or you're not having enough skepticism of who's saying it's bad, who's saying it's good, and allow yourself to make your own fucking informed decision. And again, if you don't have any clients that are doing this, then you probably don't have to fucking worry about it.
yeah.
But if you start seeing more of your clients, you start seeing more of the people in your ecosystem, in your communities that are taking the shot, are thinking about it, or what they're going to do, or they are already doing it. It then becomes increasingly important for you to be able to be that trusted person, to be able to give that advice, to be able to take them through, help them where the pitfalls, where not. But again, for me, it's so much of pay attention to who is claiming something is bad, who
Yeah.
is claiming that something is good, and what are their actual motives.
Yeah.
And it comes back to, for me, the nutrition
There
stuff
was
is all, it's all tied together.
there was literally talk that like the grocery store food sugar lobby, essentially like the American food system was trying to promote the fact that, or that they were concerned that because of this Ozempic craze and because it seems to work, and that simply it's causing people to eat less. This is what's funny. It's not like it's going out and like melting food on the shelves at grocery stores. It's just that if human beings are choosing to buy less food because they're eating less food, it costs these companies money and they must rage against it. They must rally against it.
And
And that concept, because there was articles out there about it, like, hey, like there's gonna be a downswing. They're gonna if this Ozempic stuff becomes popular, continues to become popular, we're gonna be selling less food. Well, where was our supply chain woes that I thought we were dealing with forever, that we were never going to get out of. And like, what I thought this was a good thing. The truthful, the truth of the issue, the fact of the matter, Jesus Christ, the fact of the matter here is that if Americans get healthy and simply by eating less quantity, not even like abandoning Kraft macaroni and cheese and DiGiorno pizza, if we simply just all eat 10% less as a society, 15% less as a society, stop getting fat, we save all this money on healthcare. There are industries that are going to make a lot less money. Simply that, simply put. And this industry, the sugar, soda companies, all of them are very worried. Not that people are going to abandon soda altogether. That's what's funny. This scramble is just about you eating 10 or 15% less. What, guys, what's going to happen when everybody gets hip to the fact that you shouldn't be eating that shit at all?
Well, and that's what's crazy, right? Because when you say 10 to 15% less food, which you're right, but in the United States, what is the majority of the shit that people eat? It's fucking garbage.
Yeah.
So that's what's so interesting. And again, this again is put on your tinfoil hats. But why does the machine want to make it so hard for people to be able to have chickens, like be able to sell meat, be able to sell be able to do
Buy
these
raw
things?
milk.
Why? Like what are and you can there's so many arguments from science and from the large organizations in that larger apparatus that are going to show all the reasons why no, you can't be doing this. You need to eat food that's shelf stable. But the problem is that if Ozempic is going to cause people to eat less food, that means they're going to eat less shelf stable food. And then eventually, because everybody now is losing weight, and then you have you don't want people that are selling whole food type foods where it's like, hey, actually, you should avoid the inside aisles of the grocery store and you should shop on the outside perimeter, and that's where you should stay and eat those foods. Well,
That ain't
we
where
need
the
to make it
billions of dollars is. That's for
but
sure.
and we need to make it really hard for anyone that's trying to teach anyone that that's what they should do. In fact, we should put a bunch of artificial bullshit barriers in place to make anyone that's preaching common fucking sense on what you should put in your body. Let's make it really hard to allow people to do that and make it really fucking easy through billions of fucking dollars on the Super Bowl and the fucking NCAA March Madness and all this other shit. We're going to just pump it to where now it's going to be hot and spicy fucking water or whatever it's going to be that they're going to push out there, all these Franken foods. Well, God forbid if there's now a pharmaceutical, like, and now we're playing in the pharmaceutical area. So
Now you
now
have
it's like,
just two juggernaut industries pissing in each other's pond. Now you're like, all
correct.
right, they're fighting it out over it, and it's someone's gonna get this money.
It's
That's all
common.
I'm saying. Someone's gonna get this money, and they really don't care about you. Now, I want to touch on one subject here before we go, because this is why, as a nutrition or as a fitness professional, I think it's important for you to try lots of other things. Is much like someone's lifetime fitness journey in the gym, right? In a gym, they may go to gym. We talked about this before, but they may go to gym A, they may try CrossFit, they may do some Zumba stuff. Maybe they take up some noon ball basketball, and maybe they are doing adult league soccer for a bit, and then they get older, and maybe you're just
Pickleball.
mall walking later in later in life. You know what I mean? Maybe you become a 5K guy, a triathlon guy. Maybe you take up swimming, take up paddle boating, paddle boarding. There's lots of things a person can do to fill the exercise gap. And someone has a lifetime fitness journey in your gym, your fitness center can be anchored to certain points in there and cover a certain amount of that space. We can't do it all, but you need to understand that that is a dynamic that exists for people that are going to be healthy or get healthy, fall off, get healthy. That is a life. That is how this works for human beings. Okay. The same thing happens with nutrition, especially in weight loss, because I always told people like eating healthier is like quitting smoking cigarettes. Okay. It's better that you're trying and failing. Like, fuck, you come home, your wife caught you. Like, yeah, I smoked a couple cigarettes today. She's mad. She found this used to happen to me when I was smoking cigarettes. Every year or so, I do real good for 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, and then I kind of fall back off. And every once in a while, my wife would open the door to my work van, and there'd be like 9 boxes of Newport empties just stuffed into the door jam, and I'd
Yep.
be in so much trouble, dude. You know what I mean? I would be.
Yeah.
And but the reality is, I've had to explain to her is like, because I'm not like full on smoke, like I'm not sitting here smoking in front of you. I'm not saying I just smoke again, which I did for so many years. It's not that I just smoke cigarettes now. It's the fact that I'm hiding it is because I'm trying to get back on the wagon, and trying and failing is better than not trying at all. Trying to quit and failing to quit is absolutely better than not trying at all. So if you failed to quit and then you get back, you take another attempt, you try another day, you do the thing. That's why I was always buying cigarettes back then in the trying and quitting phase, one at a time, one pack at a time, not one cigarette, one pack at a time.
Not a
Instead of
box.
buying cartons and shit like
Yeah.
that to save money. You know me, I'm cheap. So but I would never buy it because every single time I bought a pack of cigarettes, it was either going to be like this one or the next one. I'll be done. I don't need 10 more, you know,
Right.
but it was that way. And nutrition is the very same thing. Okay. Someone who's trying on a diet and struggling to adhere to it, they need support. They need the understanding that let's just try to commit to something. Okay. And you fall off perfect. Well, let's get you back on. Like, let's go. You still need to try to adhere to this. And if that doesn't work, when people are then adrift, they're washed in the sea. They're floating around. They don't have any sense that by the time people come to me when they've been away, like on their own for a really long time and they're heavy and they don't know what to do, something that they've read or something has connected to them and they've thought, I can do that. That's why fad diets take off.
Yeah.
They're marketed well. It plants seeds in the heads of people who go, the last thing I did didn't work, but this seems like something I can do. So let's go over these because some things will connect to somebody at some time throughout their lifetime fitness journey,
Mhm.
lifetime nutritional journey, right?
Yeah.
What's the most popular stuff lately? And there's actually kind of like what I like about this is there's a lot of probably pretty viable systems right now that I would say are almost equally popular. I think macro counting, and if it fits your macros and like weighing your food and all that stuff, I think that's an important step in any of these things you do to get your caloric balance thing. But I don't like obsessive weighing. It's just not for me, right? Having to weigh everything. It's just too much. It's too much chores for someone to do when they haven't done anything, in my opinion.
And the average person is not gonna have a food scale, right? It's like there's so many elements where it's like that's such a
But
barrier that regular humans.
you get some type A dorks who are like, okay, so if you could just tell me exactly, I can wait. There are people who, when they come in, that's their thing. I'm just not one of them. But I always tell people, like, in my diets, it's, you know, 8 to 12 ounces of meat. Like, it's put in there in a thing, in a weight, which means fucking weigh it so you know what's right first. And then from there, we can ballpark it as long as you're within that range. But other than that one, like, carnivores become very popular. It's like
For
it's
sure.
borderline trendy, right?
Oh, yeah.
Keto is still pretty fucking trendy in my opinion. People
And
like sleep on it a little bit, but carnivore is keto. Let's not pretend like it's not. Carnivore is a ketogenic diet 100%. There's
yeah,
no carbs.
minus the right, minus like if you'd be gay, right? Sorry for any homosexuals. If you're gonna be gay about it and you're gonna look at like the idea, like, okay, well, it's not
Butter doesn't
butter.
count. Yeah, I would do carnivore with butter and eggs.
Right,
That's
like
still my
right,
version.
like, yeah,
And
like it's
also
being
ketchup.
hardcore.
So
No cheese.
I'm already out, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but
But
keto's viable too.
and the reason why too is now, like, especially look at 15 years ago, like
Yeah,
keto really comes on the scene maybe a decade ago. But now the amount of, processed food that's now keto food,
yeah,
that's like fake, like, that's how you know how popular, like, 'cause remember back in the day, South Beach, Atkins treats, like, it was
yeah,
all like the chocolate bars, like anything
yeah,
that seems like this is no longer real food anymore, and now they just put now they put keto friendly or now they're keto bites, whatever it
yeah.
is. So that's how you know when diets are really, in
Those are both trendy and those are both viable for people, I think. Because not to everybody. This is why I don't recommend either of those two things necessarily as a lifetime thing. I think if you do lots of these things, you're going to fall into your lifetime collections of things that work for you that'll keep you you'll settle into a pocket. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So for me, I'm like probably like keto, carnivore a lot, minus the ketchup and maybe some booze occasionally. And I don't
Mhm.
mind having rice from time to time. I don't get too heavy. I have almost no processed carbohydrates, hardly at all. It's potatoes or rice, not always and not with every meal. But there's also like high carb stuff I've done, like for performance. Like, yeah, you're gonna eat a lot of rice. You're really gonna fuel your training. So you focus on performance. That's another very viable thing for someone who wants to go hard and push themselves. We do that, but we keep the balance right. That's a great way to do it. Intermittent fasting, just
Yeah,
as
that's very
popular as all
popular.
these other things right now, I
Yeah.
think. And the noise is maybe I'm just in the wrong algorithm. It's all similar for a lot of these things. Long-term fasting now is even, I think, becoming, it's at least worked its way into my scope to where I'm willing to try it. And the reason I'm willing to try it is because I'm seeing it. I see it so much, and I know I'm going to get asked these questions, and I want to know what pitfalls there are so that I can recommend to somebody something else if they're interested in that, or I can tell them what that was like for me. Knowing that I'm different than they are, and knowing that I'm a different person with different goals and an absolutely different hormone profile, my experience still speaks for itself. Because, John, after doing my first 48-hour fast, I will tell you this: I would not recommend fasting for 48 hours until you're capable of doing many 24-hour fasts.
Sure.
Because I know a lot of guys who start freaking out after 3 hours and they don't have any food. Oh, what do I gotta have some snacks? What am I gonna eat? I'm just hungry. I'm hungry. If I don't, I'm gonna have an episode. You're fucking not. Don't be such a fucking wuss about this thing. You're gonna be fine, princess.
Yeah.
But like, you're gonna have a hard time going 48 hours in the face of this. You'll lose your fucking mind. You can learn it in a very safe way and still go to bed full at night, and by getting used to some 24-hour fasts. 48 is a bit of a different story. But what I found, John, is the 24-hour part. Around the 24-hour mark, when I normally get to eat on a 24-hour fast, that that's where I was like, fuck, I'm just at home. I can't make myself a drink. I can't like eat anything. The times when I'm at home and I get up out of my chair and wander to the fridge, maybe grab a bite of something here or there. I'm gonna have bread, something else, or whatever, if I'm snacking,
Right.
gone. Can't have it. I got up and looked at the fridge that night like 5 times. Like, fuck, just get some water. You know what I mean? That was
Yeah.
challenging, but that's mostly challenging, not because I was hungry, because that's the habit. That's what I do when I'm at home.
Mhm.
So I had to have that experience to know when someone else gets to that, like, yeah, dude, if you can do 24-hour fast, 24-hour fast will break a lot of men that I know, honestly. They'll lose their fucking mind. They get divas about being hungry and be all sad and shit. So, but a 48-hour fast will really fuck you up when you got to go to sleep. This was the worst for me. I had to go to sleep stoned, starving, I thought,
I
right?
thought I was dying.
Well, here's what happened. I went to bed. I was like, "Ugh, shouldn't have smoked pot. It's like munchies or something. This was a bad idea. But I thought it helped me sleep, and it just
Sure.
kind of amplified both of those potentialities, right? And so
Yeah.
I laid down and I was like, fuck. I like almost like powdered my way to sleep. I was like, "Well, listen to something on YouTube. I'll drift off." But then I fell asleep and I slept real good, John. I
Yeah.
mean, real good. I woke up 10 hours later. So I should be 10 hours hungrier, right?
But you're not.
Not at all. And I wasn't hungry one bit until I was tired. It almost felt like I actually kind of throughout the day that the times when the hunger, the lack of food would settle in. I also trained jujitsu twice during this time, lifted weights once during that 48 hours. Just a lot.
Mhm.
Um, the times that I felt more like I had actually lost a night's sleep. You stay up all night with a baby and you're like, fuck, that next day when things get a little weird. That's when and I don't even know it's hunger. It's just like it was interesting. I didn't feel hungry, didn't feel like I needed to eat. But when I got done at the end of 48 hours, I was like, yeah, buddy, let's go. And I ate it slow. But knowing that process, it's on you to know these things because each of these things we listed, whether it's carnivore, keto, high carb performance stuff, if it fits your macros, macro counting, weighing your food, intermittent fasting, long term fasting, all of those are options, and there's probably many other versions of those types of things, systems that you can blend together that'll work for somebody.
Mhm.
Somebody just needs to connect to, I want to have that type of experience. There are people out there who struggle and go, if I just didn't eat today, I bet I could do it. Okay, let's figure this out. Let's figure this out, and let's figure out how to do this so you don't get weird and you don't get dysfunctional. And I just think that if you don't have any of these experiences yourself, you're just not equipped to help anybody through that process. And if you're the macro counting expert, okay, but then you better be getting people in on that.
And food's getting more and more expensive. So I promise you that 48 and 72-hour fasts will only become more popular because
Budget
I can't,
friendly.
I can't afford to eat. So if I only have to buy for 3 or 2 out of the 7 days of the week,
Yeah.
this is a very efficient way of eating now
Yeah.
because I don't have to eat.
And it's tough. It would be tough to do. Like I didn't do, I wouldn't do that. Like I didn't have my kid do that or anything like
Right.
this. He's got shit to do. He's a teenager. He's training. He's growing. No.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the biggest challenge. You ever cook a 16-year-old fucking steak fajitas while you
Yeah.
have to not eat
Yeah.
24, 25, 26 hours of not eating at that point? Dude,
That is death.
while they're not entirely as grateful for that experience, you know what I mean? It's not like they're stoked about the steak fajitas either.
No.
So it's like, you should be thanking me a lot more for what I just did for you. It's fucking crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But to button it, it's all those things. Having the knowledge of all those diets is also so important because no matter who comes to you, no matter what type of client comes to you, if you've experienced all these different things, you know what is within reach for them.
Yeah.
Because that is what's really important. Because again, one of the guys that I've been working with, he talked about, he's like, well, I did this diet. It was really strict and I did really good. And I lost 60 pounds, right? I lost 60 pounds on this diet. He goes, but eventually I got to the point where I was like, fuck that. And then I gained 100 pounds. And it was one of those things where he just, it had gotten to the point where he's like, fuck this. I hate this. This is so stupid.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like, then it was the raw, like it was obviously, it was successful, but it wasn't, you know what I mean? It wasn't
They
what fit
they
for what
didn't
he really needed.
understand the lifetime nutrition journey of this process, which is we're going to take, much like my wife through the whole thing, you're going to take from this what you learn. You're going to
Mhm.
apply the things that make you feel better when they make you feel better, the spots where you can get wins, the things you're willing to move on from, and you're going to plug in other things in other places too. But that's the big issue when somebody gets married to one of these diets without help. I did carnivore, lost 15 pounds, felt great. Now I'm back on pizza and pasta and I'm fat as ever.
Mhm.
All right. Well, if somebody just said, let's keep trying things that make you feel better instead of
Yeah.
things that make you feel worse, like that's all it is. You're just guiding somebody through an experimentation process. And it's not, like we said, this isn't pharmaceutical. We're not just like, try this drug, you try this
And,
drug, try this.
and
By the way, you go to John, you go to doctors.
yep.
My friend went into a doctor just to get his medical weed card. So like he had to claim whatever. We'll go there. He had to claim that he had like
Anxiety, whatever. Yeah.
PTSD or because they don't
Yeah.
do anxiety here or whatever.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh my God, it's a bunch of shit. And so medical marijuana is such a fucking farce. It's like, can we just
It's a
be adults
racket.
here? You're making a bunch of people recreationally make up. I have to recreationally have a mental condition, a chronic illness recreationally, just so I can get this. It's dumb. But anyway, he goes into the thing, and the doctor's like, "Yeah, I mean, based on some of these, things, trauma, or whatever, it's probably have PTSD. I'm willing to diagnose you with that for sure." So, and the guy's like, "So here's the list of things that we can do." And John, on there is like 6 different pharmaceutical approaches. There was anti-anxiety medication, there was fucking sleeping meds. That guy was willing to write him 4 or 5 different prescriptions for medications, mental medications that he was never probably planning on taking him off of
No.
but from one conversation. And
Yep.
you can't talk to somebody about eating a little less fucking food. Fuck that. Don't play that game. We need to rebel. Don't be a dork. Don't let these nerds tell you can't talk to people about their food because they're fuck the bureaucracy. They're trying to keep people fat. That's quote me on that one. So thanks a lot for listening, everybody. Go to at the Gym Owners Podcast on Instagram. Go to gymownersrevolution.com and get in the Gym Owners Revolution Facebook group. If you don't know what to do as far as nutrition coaching or what maybe a good process can look like, I'm not trying to like sell this program to you. I don't really give a shit necessarily, but like come like fucking run through the 5-week thing that John and I run some of our personal clients to. I'll sell it to you to do it. And then I want you to just understand what that process is and make that thing your own. But like, that's what that is. This is how we do this thing. If you want to see what that's like as a gym owner or a coach, and see how you would deliver your own version of something like that, I don't know, shoot me a message at Tyler F. and Stone on Instagram.
Or listen to the last episode that we
Yeah,
dropped
in
on
depth.
this exact, we go deep into this exact subject, so it allows you to be able to see exactly what we're doing, where you would have everything you need to be able to even go from there as well.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.